So I forgot to pay my rent, guys. And here in Texas, the laws are a little bit different. So you got 5 days to pay your rent, and if you miss that deadline, then they have legal right to evict you. So what's going on right now is I'm on what's called a notice to vacate, and I have until the 9th to get all my stuff out. And if I don't get it out by the 9th, then they're going to do eviction proceedings. So what that looks like is I stay in the home if I stay out until the 9th, but I get kicked out by court order since I'm not voluntarily leaving. But I think I am going to leave. So let me explain what happened. I don't know, man. This week has been relatively stressful. Ever since the power has been out, and the light and the water was out, my life hasn't stopped in a sense. I haven't necessarily gotten any breaks. I've had maybe like 1 day off or 2 days off here and there, but I've been working pretty hard at work. So it literally slipped my mind. It was like, here's where it gets even more ironic. So on the 6th, which was I think yesterday, I was like, oh, you need to pay your rent, James. So I go online and I check and I show a late fee. So I'm like, okay, I guess I was late, my mistake. So I processed my checking account, my routing number, to go ahead and get it, situated so that the payment goes through. I get an email that says I was successfully submitted. Doesn't mean that it processed. It meant that I got an email saying my payment is in pending process. So like 5 to 10 minutes after that, I get a letter in my door. Somebody was like squeezing something through my door, and I thought it might have been like a Jehovah's Witness or something, but turns out it was a note. It says notice to vacate for a non-payment of rent. So here in Texas, you have, if you're 1 day off, if you miss that date by 1 day, that's breach of contract, especially if they put it in the lease terms. And I looked in the lease terms, and that's where it was. So my mistake was, first off, when I got in here, because I was at an Airbnb and I was trying to get things situated so fastly, in a sense of being that I work from home, I had to have my internet in, I had to have a working internet access and my computer in. At the time, I was just getting off of work, and then the leasing consultant at the time was just leaving the office, so she's just about to leave. So I had to sign all these papers and do all these things kind of fastly. So I didn't even get to acknowledge the date. She didn't necessarily even read the terms to me. And I'm not saying that's her fault. It's just how it was done. I should have been more thorough in looking at the lease. I'm not going to blame her on that. But then later on, they said that they messed up my contract and they changed the dates or whatever. So actually on the 23rd, I had to sign another lease, which was kind of like fixing the old one. But I know, I guess, so deep down inside, I guess I knew that rent was due on the 1st. But it just completely slipped my mind. Like on the 1st, I was not thinking about rent. I wasn't even thinking about rent until the 6th. So in a way, I'm thinking was this supposed to happen? So what's going on now is I'm looking for another apartment, but at the same time, if I can stay here, given that I've already paid, maybe they'll allow me to stay, and maybe they'll waive the notice, but that's not likely. It's more than likely, given that they're closed today, which is Sunday, and I got served on Saturday at closing, I am not able to speak to him until tomorrow. But that's the 8th. So if it doesn't go well on the 8th, then I definitely have to leave by the 9th, by 11:59 p.m. by the 9th, or else I get served a eviction notice. So last night, guys, I've never felt that way. I felt like, what the heck just happened? I was floored. Everything that I had planned to do that day, it just was off. Everything. And, well, this is where it was coming from. Like, my anxiety and I guess the pain and the stress is coming from not knowing what the heck is going to happen now. Like, what do I do? What's my options? Not knowing all my options, not being able to assess the situation. It was really painful to like go through that. But things are going to be all right. You know, things are not going to be easy if they don't turn out the way that I'd like them to. But things are not going to be hell on earth for me. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they might get uncomfortable, but I think I'll be fine. I can always look for another apartment. I guess I can. The one friend I know here, before I move, is actually allowing me to sleep on his couch. So that's what I'll do. As far as my job is concerned, and that being on the internet, I talked to them. Hopefully they'll bear with me for the time being. But not much else to say. I think what I will say is, like, it's going to be all right. And the reason why I feel that way is because I feel like God actually has my best interests in mind. Even through my mistakes, He'll still make it work for me. I don't see how He's going to do it, but I have faith that He will. And to be honest, that, as well as like talking with my mother about it, it's the only two things that kept me from like breaking down. Because you get close to breaking down, especially in situations like this where you're on the verge of being homeless, you have to move real quick. It's a little bit traumatizing of an experience. But I think it's actually helping me grow as a person. And yeah, like, okay, so I'll just end it there.